Adam Plebs, so it's another week of This Week in Yu-Gi-Oh! And, well, it's been a week and a half really. I normally do these on Mondays, but as you can imagine, it's been really busy. Was in Prague until Tuesday, and then, well, it's now Wednesday. Didn't get a chance to do this yesterday because of the fact that so much happened, and I just didn't have the time. With the ban list dropping, really just blew everything out of proportion. I had to do, obviously, other videos instead because that was kind of more important. So taking some time to try look back. So there could be a bit of mistakes in here, as you can imagine. It has been super busy, so I don't think I've really had the time to research into this as much as I should. But I feel like I've got most of the stuff covered for this week. So without further ado, let's just jump straight into it because, well, it could get pretty long. Now, first thing, I guess, going back to cover is the OCG ban list. This feels irrelevant now because we now got our ban list yesterday. I mean, it's something that was a pretty big deal at the time because it kind of gave us some indicators for where we were going. But then again, OCG has had two ban lists with the zoo format. We've only had one. So their ban list, I mean, as you can see here, the real relevant things that I can see, of course, is moral tax finally going up to 3 in the OCG. Yeah, it's basically this was the destruction of Zoo. They banned Barrage, they banned Dryden, and Rapier as well, I believe, is on here somewhere. That got limited. Yeah, so pretty hefty ban list over in the OCG. And we expected it to probably be around about the same for us. And in our ban list, well, it was kind of not that far off, really, if we think about it. Hitting Rat in itself is enough to make the deck sort of weak. We'll just have to wait and see what it's going to be like after Maximum Crisis. For more in-depth look at my views on the ban list, and also, well, the views of some other YouTubers that I had, would be House of Champs, DZ, Simo, and Gage. Got a video from yesterday, so I'll leave that in the description. You can watch that sometime. We have an hour-long talk about the ban list and stuff, and just going in depth into what we feel and what we think about it. But basically, TLDR, Tyrant Neptune was banned for FTK stuff it was causing. Kirin was banned. Emptiness was banned. And then a whole bunch of erratas came back. Maxi went to 1. Yeah, so the erratas, Bryanak, Brain Control, Launcher, no, Future Fusion, I wish Launcher, Imperial Order, and then Wisdom I went to 2, which was quite interesting. Rat, biggest card, of course, going to 2 means that you can't do the standard full combo now, at least not in other decks as much as you can in pure deck after Maximum Crisis, but more on that soon, because hopefully we'll have some combo videos and stuff done over the next coming days, courtesy of Duncan. Slumber as well went to 2, which was a bit of an odd one. And Sangan came off. That got errated as well. So, next up we've got the metagame. Starting just really briefly with the OCG. Not much to say here. They obviously still have a very, very strong Zoo presence. Ban list over there isn't going live until... I actually can't remember when their ban list is going live, but I think this is probably going to be the last week. I think it's April 1st over there as well, at least around about the same time. But yeah, 3/4 Zoo, 29 Zoo total, 4 of them were Kaiju variants, and then for the True Dracos, 7 True Dracos and 5 Zoo variants, so only 2 True Draco decks didn't play Zoo cards. And for the other section we have True Draco Metalfoes and True King, they were Zoo variants as well. So 2 decks in the OCG didn't use Zoo cards. You can imagine that that deck is probably well deserved to be hit over there. I guess we're going to see a bit of a true Draco meta for a while in the OCG. Yeah. Over in TCG land, I have compiled, sorry, it's a little bit hard to kind of see. Let's just turn this off real quick. So this is the TCG meta, and this is what happened last weekend. Now, YCS Prague was obviously the big one, but we did have YCS in Guatemala. And we did have the UDS in Vegas as well. And this is all 64 top cut decks. I've compiled into this chart here. So as you can see, Guatemala was top 16 in YCS, by the way, because it was a lot smaller. If you're wondering why it's top 64, not top 72, as you would expect it to be if there's two 32s and a 16. Guatemala was quite small YCS, Vegas as well was a top 16, Prague top 32. That brings us to top 64 decks. So this is every deck from the Top Cut profile. I thought it would be better to just combine them. I guess you could probably gather a little bit more information by dividing it into the regions. One thing that we can see clearly is that Pure Zoo, of course, is the best deck. There's just, yeah, no denying that. Zoo Kaiju was quite close behind. Most of those Zoo Kaiju results you see here, 6 of them, most of those came from outside Prague. I think there was only like 1 Kaiju in Prague. The 60 card paleos, I believe all of those come from Prague. America not really going on the paleo bandwagon. Those 40 card paleos, those are kind of spread between the regions. Infernoid Zoo, a lot from Prague. Quite equal in both regions sort of recognizing that Infernoids are as strong as they are. Light Sworns, most of that is from Prague. I believe 3 of them are. Metal Foes, actually most of them are from Guatemala, and the Invoked, 1 in Prague, 1 in Guatemala as well. Paleo Zoo was Guatemala, I believe, and the Rogue deck, I can't remember what it was exactly, but we'll just have to settle for other for now. So that was the metagame in the TCG this week. So moving on with some more interesting news, we've got an MX Saber Invoker reprint coming out in Duelist Saga at the end of this month. That's tanked quite a lot, as you can imagine, in value. Bro Hunter is a new card coming out in Duelist Saga. This is when this is normal summoned, add a 1 level 4 light thunder type monster from your deck to your hand, except Bro Hunter. The only real reasonable target would be like Thunder King or Denko, but as you can imagine, it's a little bit slow. It's still a decent card though, it's kind of cool. The card art is pretty Super Saiyan, if you can kind of tell that. Next card is Gozuki. This guy is really strong, I think. A normal summon nonetheless, but a very strong one. So during your main phase, send a zombie from your deck to your graveyard. That's it. Like, just no cost, no nothing, just send a zombie from your deck to graveyard. That's incredible. That's a really good effect. That alone makes this card super awesome. Level 4 Earth as well, so it's not dark, unfortunately, but going with the same theme as like Mizuki and this guy, well, Gozuki. I'm sure there's some kind of lore related reason for their names, but that's something for another video. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish 1 zombie from your graveyard except himself to special a zombie from your hand. So if you can imagine, probably involving some kind of synchro plays that you can do with this guy, where you can just special out your hand every time you synchro with him. But obviously, of course, the best effect this guy has is just sending Mizuki from deck to grave. Very, very cool effect indeed. Next card is Legacy of the Duelist. This card is actually not terrible. These sort of like anime cards tend to be really, really bad, but this seems like it's got actual play. As a continuous spell, it's definitely not slow, but basically when your monster declares an attack, you can target a spell or trap your opponent controls and negate that attack, and then you can destroy that card. So you can pop cards basically every time you attack by negating one of your attacks, and I don't think that's once per turn, so that's really strong. But the most important effect for why this card is actually really good, each player can only set 1 spell or trap from their hand per turn. It's very strong, very, very strong. Monsters cannot attack the turn they were special from the extra deck. During your draw phase, before you draw, you give up your normal draw this turn, and if you do, add 1 monster from your grave to your hand. So that's optional as well. You can choose to give up your draw phase to just add back a monster from your grave. This card is really strong. Like, generally, I think this is really strong. Just because, like, Paleo is probably going to be a massive deck now. This card just really helps, and you know, I'm sure there's lots of decks that can take advantage of this kind of thing. I don't think it's going to be broken or, like, you know, staple, but it seems like it's pretty good. Like, it generally is really good. I'm really surprised at this one, just because of the fact that anime cards, like I said, tend to be not super awesome, but this is surprisingly good. It's like a floodgate for back row decks, you know. It's fucking karma. We're used to like back row decks floodgating us. Well, this thing is floodgating the floodgates, boys. It's pretty awesome. Alright, where are we at? We're at the Vrains anime, unfortunately, is delayed a little bit. It was supposed to be starting in April but now it's looking like it'll be airing sometime in May. In the lead up to this, we'll be getting a couple of episodes throughout April as a prelude to Vrains. From the 5th of April onwards, there'll be a TV special with basically a bunch of people. Don't really know who they are, but yeah, they'll just be kind of like going over the Yu-Gi-Oh franchise and stuff. But yeah, nothing particularly like super in depth about Vrains itself, although I'm sure we'll be seeing some kind of cool stuff appear over the course of time. But really the biggest thing to take away from this is that the anime isn't coming out until May, so that's hopefully when we can start watching this thing. I'm pretty excited for it. I hope to do weekly reviews on previews and stuff when the anime finally comes out, so yep, keep an eye out for that. So another cool card we got this weekend, or revealed to us, was actually just now, today. It's a belief from Code the Duelist. It is a level 8 Dark Machine monster for Highlander decks, apparently, or Hydralander, whatever that means. So this is level 8 Dark Machine type, 3000 attack, and it can't be normaled or set. So it must be specialed from your hand while 5 or more monsters are in your grave, and all monsters in your graveyard have different names, but can't be special by other ways. So it seems like this would have a lot of use in just decks that just spam the graveyard and mill a lot. So quite an not too difficult of a summoning condition, I think. But the really good effect is once per turn during either player's turn, you can send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard, and if all monsters in your graveyard have different names, you could destroy 1 card in the field. So not even like the destruction effect, because it's probably rare that you're actually going to get it off, but just the fact that you can just constantly mill with this guy is really awesome. And of course he's absolutely huge. Yeah, it's quite decent. I can't really see it being you know, too involved with the meta, but I mean, this is a cool monster regardless. It's got a decent effect, and yeah, it's pretty big. So next we have some more Master Ruler Ratas. We'll be doing a whole Link Summon guide and roundup at some point in the future, closer to the time of Links. But basically, generally things that to take away from this, basically TLDR, is that things that say field now say monster zone, main monster zone. So things like Ground Collapse now say select 2 unused main monster zones. Yeah, just so many just old random cards like Magical Hats and stuff like that. They now say main monster zone, as we expected. Ground Collapse was not going to block off the extra deck zone. That would be stupid for a card that's older than my fucking like little sibling. Would be able to just floodgate a new mechanic. Didn't make sense. Okay, if you bought Ground Collapse and you wasted money on it, you're stupid. Sorry, that's a fact. But yeah, what we can confirm is that main monster zones are now basically just sort of the default. Like if a card says it's like zone, like old cards, it's referring to the main monster zone, like the first 5, not the extra deck zone thing, where your first extra deck monster goes. A whole bunch of erratas, of course. A lot of them came back on the ban list. So there's a whole list here on YG organization. John has a good video on it from House of Champs. I'll link his video in the description. You can watch his video and he can go over all the erratas with you guys. And yeah, I think watching it video form is a bit better. But he explains all the erratas. So I just wanted to point out, of course, you know, we have a lot of erratas this coming off the ban list. Bryanak, Rescue Cat, Imperial Order, like so many big name cards. Even Necro Valley at some point is going to be legal soon. So yeah, watch out Paleos. And yeah, watch John's video for that. So that about rounds us up. We're going to be looking at the market watch now finally. If I've missed anything, let me know, because I know there's so much shit happened over the last week. Just absolutely just flooded with information. I didn't even get to start researching for this video until this morning. So yeah, let's just jump into the market watch. If I did forget anything, let me know in the description. So we've got Bababoon here. It's the promo card from Raging Tempest. It's a really good card, really strong, but just unfortunately not good enough to beat Zoo. So yeah, I played this deck at Prague. Let's just say I didn't do well. We'll just keep it at that. Absolute King Backjack spiking tremendously. Shoutouts to Joshua Schmidt, because Fiend Griefing and Paleozoic apparently is now a staple. Imperial Order, of course, all the old prints of this card are spiking, as you can imagine, since the card is now coming off the ban list. The card is absolutely absurd. Yeah, the new errata makes it a little bit stronger to use, but still broken nonetheless, I think. And then we got Barrage. Zoos have crashed quite significantly. You're probably only going to be paying around about £35 if you're lucky for a Barrage. So yeah, it's gone down. I wouldn't give up the deck just yet. I was going to sell the deck, and then the deck just deteriorated overnight, just crashed. So I don't see the point in selling it, because I mean, what's the point in trying to sell it now when everyone and their mom is trying to sell it? If I were you, I'd probably if you have Zoo, just hold on to it. You never know, someone could break this shit. It's not that bad in the TCG, like unlike the OCG where they fucking slaughtered the deck. It's still pretty decent over here after Maximum Crisis, especially when we get Leica. Leica makes the deck really like pretty good, and who knows, maybe it'll still be very, very relevant in the meta come national season. So Pot of Desires is spiking, as you can imagine, because, well, a lot of people are now shifting away from Zoo, and Zoo was the only deck where you couldn't play Pot of Desires. Even Zoo decks potentially can play Zoo now, can play Pot of Desires. So this card is going back up. Thank God I didn't sell mine, because we're spiking back up. This was floating at around about £35–40 you'd be paying for this. Now it looks like you're going to be paying about £45–50 for a Pot of Desires. My MX Saber Invoker, of course, crash significantly because of the reprint announced in Duelist Saga. Quite a good thing that it got reprinted. Quite unfortunate that it's only ever had one print ever from Order of Chaos, which I believe is quite old. So yeah. Finally, we have Totally Awesome spiking dramatically, as you can imagine, with Senpai Joshua Schmidt destroying the YCS with his Frog deck. And now with the ban list as well, it's safe to say that this is probably the best deck. And if you have a Toad, well, there you go. It's basically doubled in price, literally doubled in price. This was floating at around 20–25. You're probably going to be playing about 45–50 for a Toad now. So good ban list. Let's just hit all the decks except the deck that was potentially even the best deck before the ban list. I mean, literally this deck was potentially better than Zoo, and they didn't even hit it. They hit Zoo. So yeah, bit of a long one, guys, as you can imagine. So much to go over. Like I said, if I did forget anything today, let me know in the description down below. Let me know what you think about all the different changes and erratas and reprints and ban list in the description. I'll be editing the 60-second version on Twitch later today, and we'll hopefully get that out tonight as well as a 60-card version. And yeah, thanks for watching, and see you next time.